Yo, I'm so excited about what I'm about to tell you about. Check it. We are offering you, because you're listening to this podcast, you actually get a copy of the original Break Time CD. You don't understand. Break Time is what gave birth to Off the Cuff. So because you're listening to this right now, you have access to a free copy of that CD. We sell it at my events for $20. It's on my website for $20. But you, as a result of listening right now, if you go to michaeljr.com/free CD, you get one for free. All you gotta do is pay shipping and it's yours, like for free. Yo, so this podcast is brought to you by Michael Jr. in the Moment Tour. They're our sponsor. When I say there, it's a little weird because it's me, but I'm actually touring the entire country right now. Just go to michaeljr.com and find out where we're going to bring the funny near you. You could actually be in the podcast. Like, you could actually be an off-the-cuff moment and hear your laughs or hear your story or whatever the case may be. So just go to michaeljr.com, find out what city we're going to be in near you, or go there and buy some tickets immediately because they sell out often and often fast. It's michaeljr.com. So get your tickets and come see the In the Moment comedy tour. Yo, so we're going to be dropping this podcast every week. So please subscribe to the podcast. That'll be awesome. Also, write a review, leave a comment, and tell your friends. In fact, tell your enemies. Maybe you won't have as many. How about that? And then use the hashtag MichaelJR_off-the-cuff. I don't want people to think that I'm forcing you to do this because you're my daughter.
It's the impromptu comedy that happens at a Michael Jr. comedy show. And maybe some impromptu information that ties it all together.
It's supposed to be inspirational.
It's time for Michael Jr. Off the Cuff. Dad, can I go play now?
Yo, comedian Michael Jr. here. I'm pumped. I'm excited. We're about to continue what we had already done in the podcast before. So I should say before word, because we did a forward last time. We actually went and did something a little different. I don't know if you recall or if you saw a podcast. What number podcast was that, tech guy Nick? Okay, he just shrugged his shoulder and lifted his arms up in the air. I don't know what number that is in whatever language you speak. Anyways, the podcast before this one, me and some comedic friends decided to go ahead and read the forward to a book called Love Does. Yeah, we read the forward, had some fun. Hope you enjoyed that one. But now what we're about to do is we're about to read a chapter. I'm here with Dory, whose website is
DoryComedy.com.
DoryComedy.com, and Mike Goodwin.
Mike.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I like to hear the compliment.
Funny, great dude. And your what's your handles? How do we find
Comedian MikeGoodwin.com or Bowtie Comedy.
Bro Tie Comedy. That's
Bow, like
just look up Bro Tie, see what happens.
around your neck. Bow tie.
Bow tie. Is that comfortable?
It is.
I can't do bow ties.
Yeah,
Man.
I like them.
I don't even own a tie.
You don't?
I literally don't own a tie. I said that one time at an event, and this dude walked up to me afterwards, took his tie off, and gave it to me.
Oh.
And I was like, I didn't say I can't buy one.
Clearly I can afford it.
He said, hey, I wanted to hook you up. I was like,
You good.
Anyway, okay. So we're back with this podcast. I'm so excited. It's off the cuff. And I decided, like I said, to bring some friends along. And we're just going to have some fun. Basically, my idea was there's some books that I've read that I really enjoy, that I really like a lot. I think they're really cool. And I'd love to be able to share them with you in a unique way. So we're not going to read the whole book. We're just going to kind of dig into it a little bit. Maybe you'll get some stuff from it. Maybe you'll get the whole book. I don't know. I just like this book, and I like my friends. So we're going to read and talk about the book. So reading today is Dory. Well, you probably figured that out because me and Mike, we can't be reading and gearing on. No, we already covered. You read like 30 books a year. I'll probably do 20 or so. And to help smash stereotypes, Dory.
Dory to do the read.
How many books are you reading a year about?
2 to 3.
2 to 3. Glad you got this job. That's great. 2 to 3. She said 2 to 3, and under her breath she said pages.
It's for the calendar year.
Well, that's awesome. So the book we're doing today is Bob Goff's Love Does. If you haven't read this book, it's awesome. It was a New Jersey bestseller.
Just New Jersey.
It was
Jersey Shore crowd.
It was a New York Times bestseller. I actually am personal friends with Bob. He is everything in this book is completely Bob. It's how he gets down. Amazing dude. So Bob is awesome. How did I meet Bob? I met Bob. I was speaking at an event in Illinois in front of a bunch of people, and Bob, I don't know if he already was familiar with me, but the first thing he did was open his arm, his wingspan. He looked like Manute Bow or somebody.
Yeah.
And he opened his arms up, and the first thing he did was he gave me one of the biggest hugs I'd ever received on that day.
Wow.
He's tall?
Yeah, he's pretty tall. He's probably 6'5", probably. Pretty tall.
Big dude.
Great dude. Just so legit. So many phenomenal stories. So we'll jump into the actual book. What chapter are we going to read today?
We're going to read the first one.
The first chapter.
Yeah.
Have you read this?
I've read the first chapter.
I feel like yes. I think yes.
It's 2.5 books a year. In fact, she read all her chapters together. She read a total of the first chapter of multiple books. Oh, that is great. Okay, so we're going to read the first chapter. I can't remember. I read this book like 3 years ago. I had my son read it. There's this one chapter in there where he goes from door to door, and he does. It's so cool. But anyway, let's jump in. First chapter.
Okay, do you want to read that one instead? Or
Kind of interested to see
Why
what
did you
happens.
sound so disappointed when you said that? But I read this whole thing. Please tell me you're not trying to switch over. Okay,
Was he selling vacuum cleaners? Let's guess what Bob was doing.
What about Bob? What about Bob? Okay.
Okay, chapter 1. It's called I'm With You. And so I used to want to fix people, but now I just want to be with them. Okay, here we go. When I was in high school, I met a guy named Randy. Randy had 3 things I didn't have: a Triumph motorcycle, a beard, and a girlfriend. It just didn't seem fair. I wanted all 3 in ascending order. I asked around and found out Randy didn't even go to the high school. He just hung out there.
Wait, I know that dude. I'm Randy. I just want to know that. Because the girls were more understanding. I was on my way to college.
I had heard about guys like that and figured I should just keep my distance, so I did. Later, I heard that Randy was a Christian and worked with an outfit called Young Life. I didn't know much about any of that stuff, but it helped explain the beard and made it, I don't know how that, anyway, and made it okay that he was hanging out at the high school, I guess. Randy never offered me a ride on his motorcycle, but he tried to engage me.
Why would he?
That was Randy's move right there. Come up to the high school.
Would you like a ride?
You want to get on my motorcycle?
My name is Randy.
But he tried to engage me in discussions about Jesus. I kept him at arm's length, but that didn't seem to chill his interest in finding out who I was and what I was about. I figured maybe he didn't know anyone his age, so we eventually became friends.
How do you not? You don't know anybody his age. That's dope. You've never been to school before.
Randy has no friends.
I was a lousy student and found out I could take a test to get a certificate that was the equivalent to a high school diploma. I couldn't figure out how to sign up for the test, though, which on my reflection was a pretty good indicator that I should stay in high school. My plan was to move to Yosemite and spend my days climbing the massive granite cliffs. At 6 feet 4 inches and 220 pounds, I didn't really have a rock climber's build. I wonder what made me think there was a rock climber in me. When you're in high school, you don't give much thought to what you can't do.
Hold on. I actually know a dude named Randy who's a rock climber. I
Has a
do.
beard?
Randy, well, and when I say rock climber, he's from my neighborhood and he used to smoke crack. That's really what I mean. Because they called it a rock, but it was back in the day, though. But I'm sure it's a different Randy because this one seems to have some stuff together. Randy had a
for Young
motorcycle.
Life?
He had a motorcycle.
Work for you.
He did not work.
He started smoking crack when he was young in life.
I do. There was a Randy there, and he was okay. I'm sorry, but you should go ahead. Carry on. I smoke rocks.
For most people, that gets learned later, and for still fewers, gets unlearned for the rest of life. At the beginning of my junior year, I decided it was time to leave high school and make the move to Yosemite.
Hey, you know what? You told a story, Goodwin, about in church how they used to have, because just so you know, for this podcast, we're figuring this thing out. Like we literally, this is an idea. We threw it out here. But you talked about how the lady used to read in church.
So the pastor would preach the sermon, but he would have a reader. And to get the person to start reading, he would say, read! And then he would say, in the beginning was the word. Stop right there! And then he would talk about and the origin of God at the front, at the beginning, there was the word. Read! And then and the word was with God. And so they
Got it. Cool. So we probably won't do that.
we can't do that.
We might though, but it's.
But I might yell read.
We can't be that aggressive.
different.
I
Yeah,
might do it
it's-
too, but it's two brothers and
Read.
and Dory's white. In case you couldn't tell by her tone.
It's kind of jarring, you know. Kind of.
It
They
is.
kept people from sleeping in church though. Read, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
let me wake
I
up.
probably wouldn't even go. Speaking of which, Dory, how about I do this? I'm gonna give you the signal, and then you tell her what to do. I don't even want to make eye contact with her.
Read.
Wait, it was too early.
Oh, okay.
All right, go.
Read.
I had a down vest, 2 red bandanas, a pair of rock climbing shoes, $75, and a VW Bug.
Stop right there. I'm sorry. I'm just
The
kidding.
VW bug.
What else did I need? I'd find work in the valley and spend my off time in the mountains. More out of courtesy than anything, I swung by Randy's house first thing on a Sunday morning to say goodbye and to let him know I was leaving. I knocked on the door, and after a long couple of minutes, Randy answered. He was groggy and bedheaded. I had obviously...
Wait, back up. Did we say where he was going already?
He's going to Yosemite.
Oh, I missed that
You
part.
missed that? Oh, okay.
But it took a long time to tell us he dropped out of school. Like I just felt like he could have just said,
Oh, yeah.
"Hey guys, I dropped out of school." He did his long,
Well, it's a book.
elaborate.
And it has to be a certain width, a certain thickness
You gotta
in
get
order for you to
some-
get your
some
money's
pages.
worth. Get them pages on.
But
and it
what
makes
just
sense.
happened? He dropped out
Yeah.
So he drops out of school.
Drops out of school and goes to Yosemite with
and
$75.
he's planning to go to Yosemite
and climbed rocks.
and climb rocks.
With a bandana.
That's a band.
I think it's a gang. Oh, wait, wrong Randy. So now he goes over Randy's house.
Yes.
To
He's
give
like,
him the farewell.
Deuces,
Goodbye.
I'm about to bounce Randy.
I'm out.
I'm out. All right, go ahead.
Okay. I obviously had woken him. I gave him the rundown on what I was doing. All the while, Randy stood patiently in the doorway, trying to his best to suppress a puzzled expression. "You're leaving soon?" he asked when I had finished. "Yeah, right now, actually," I said as I straightened my back and barreled my chest to show I meant business. "Look, Randy, it's time for me to get out of here. I just came by to thank you for hanging out with me and being a great friend." Randy kept his earnest and concerned face.
Well, that was responsible.
Yeah.
Like he gonna
He
do something very, very irresponsible. Which is just go to Yosemite.
Let's drop out of school.
But then and he had a sense of responsibility to show up and be like, you know what, I'm gonna go talk to Randy before I leave.
Because Randy didn't have any more friends. So he's like, what if I left Randy? He's going to be friendless.
And that won't be handy at all for Randy.
He didn't give him a ride on the motorcycle or anything. Like,
Nothing.
He didn't owe him anything.
No. Read.
Okay, Randy kept his earnest and concerned face, but he didn't say a word.
This is so cool. Being able to just randomly tell her, and then she just start reading immediately too. She had commentary. In the
put your
middle of her
finger.
commentary, I was like, read, and she just started. That was awesome. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, hey, I inserted. Will you tell your girlfriend goodbye for me, too? You know, when you see her next. Again, no words from Randy. He had this weird, faraway look on his face, like he was looking right through me. He snapped back into our conversation. "Hey, Bob, would you wait here for a second while I check on something out?" "No sweat, Randy. I had nothing but time now. What did I care?" Randy disappeared for a few minutes into the house, and while I stood awkwardly on his porch with my hands in my pockets. When he came back to the door, he had a tattered backpack hanging over his shoulder by one frayed strap and a sleeping bag under his other arm. He was focused and direct. All he said was this: "Bob, I'm with you." Something in those words rang right through me.
That's dope.
Stop right there.
Preach it. Preach.
That is dope. Wow, his boy was like, I got you. I'm with you. Like when he say with you, he mean like, anyway,
Right.
go ahead.
I
Let me
like
see.
that. Something in his words rang right through me. He didn't lecture me about how I was blowing it and throwing opportunities away by leaving high school. He didn't tell me I was a fool and that my idea would fall off the tracks on the way to the launch pad. He didn't tell me I would surely crater even if I did briefly lift off. He was resolute, unequivocal, and had no agenda. He was with me. Despite the kind gesture, it was pretty odd to think he would wanted to come along. Sure, I guess, I said half-heartedly. Are you sure? Yeah, Bob, I'm in. If you wouldn't mind, what if I caught a ride with you? Randy stood and with a determined look. So let me get this straight. You want to drive to Yosemite with me right now? Yep, that's right. I can find my way.
So it's ignorant for Randy to do it, but it's okay for Bob. I see what's cracking right here.
Yep, that's right. I can find my way back after we get there and you get settled in. I'm not sure why I accepted Randy's generous self-invitation. I guess it's because it totally caught me totally off guard. No one had ever expressed an interest in me like that before. Sure, I stammered as we both stood awkwardly on his stoop. I guess we should get going then. And with that, Randy closed the door to his little house and he walked side by side to my VW Bug. He plopped into the passenger seat and he threw his stuff on the top of mine on the back seat. We got to Yosemite before nightfall, and it occurred to me for the first time that we had no place to stay.
The first time you thought.
You just think about this, Bob. That never crossed your mind before.
Bob don't stand for big old building. You own yourself. You got a little car. Oh, that's dope.
We had a couple of sleeping bags, no tent, and very little money. So we snuck in through the back of a platform tent set up as one of the pay-per-night campsites. We slept toward the back so we could make our escape if an upstanding tent renter showed up for the night. Fortunately, no one came, and the next morning, we woke up to a chilly but glorious morning in Yosemite Valley. To the north of us, El Capitan soared 3,000 feet straight up like a huge granite soldier. Half-Dome dominated the landscape to the east. These were my companions. This was my cathedral. I was in the valley-wide living room of my new home. Now it was time to get a job.
That's a nice way to say you homeless.
That is a positive outlook. On the fact that you have no place to be. Next time I'm in Los Angeles on Skid Row, I'm gonna sit next to one of my homeless people and be like, man, you got it made, bro. You can see that building. You can see this one. No, that's...
Now it's time to get a job and settle in. I rolled over in my sleeping bag thinking about how great it was to have Randy with me. I was a little nervous, but also excited about my newfound freedom. I was a man now. I felt my chin for a sign of any whiskers. Nothing yet, but I shaved anyway, just in case. Randy and I dusted off the stiffness that comes with tent camping and went to the Camp Curry company cafeteria. I thought I could get a job flipping pancakes in the mornings, which would leave the rest of the day to climb. I finished the job application in front of the manager, handed it to him, and he gave it right back, sternly shaking his head no. He didn't even pretend to be interested.
Hold on. Been there before. A couple times. Dude, shaking his hand before I asked for an application. Not in here. We're not gonna, no shenanigans.
Like Matumbo. No,
I don't even know what a shenanigan is. What exactly is a shenanigan?
It's like tomfoolery.
I don't even know what tomfoolery is.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta keep saying the words. The people don't know. Hijinks.
I don't even know what hijinks is. Wow.
Antics.
What are you, Mike? The thesaurus? Thesaurus X? Hey, you know why he did all that, Dory? That brother be reading. That's why he did it. Vocabulary just jumped off.
Read on.
He be reading and carrying on.
Matter of fact, read.
He didn't even pretend to be interested, but I was secretly thankful he at least humored me enough to let me apply. No matter, undaunted, I went to one of the rock climbing outfitters with a storefront in the valley. I told them I'd do whatever they needed. I was sure that what I lacked in experience I could make up for by what I lacked in maturity or raw intelligence. They said that they didn't have any work for me either, and that jobs were tight and almost impossible to get in the valley. I walked out of the store discouraged and looked at Randy, who was leaning against the VW. Rather than feeding my discouragement or saying, I told you so, Randy fed my soul with words of truth and perspective. Bob, you can do this thing if you want. You have the stuff it takes to pull it off. These guys don't know what they're missing. Let's try a few more places.
Somebody's phone is making noises. It was on, the alarms don't pay attention to silent. Hold on. It's Randy. Hello? You still in Yosemite? That's messed up, man. Oh, no, Bob got a great career now.
So what's Randy doing?
waiting on that job to open up.
Day off?
That is hilarious. That brother got a young life.
He just riding around with bus.
Oh, snap. Read.
Rather than feeding my discouragement or saying, I told you so, Randy fed my soul with words of truth and perspective. Bob, you can do this thing if you want. You have the stuff it takes to pull it off. These guys don't know what they're missing. Let's try a few more places.
Randy sounds like he trying to get him to sell drugs. Read that again. No, just read that again, because I heard this before from somebody where I grew up. Back up.
Bob, you can do this thing
No.
if you want.
Back up. Back up to instead of feeding me with. Go ahead.
Oh,
that part.
okay. Randy fed my soul with words of truth and perspective.
Hey, homie. I'm telling you, dog. You could do this, bro. You could be on the block with the big dog. Go ahead. Really?
Bob, you can do this thing if you want.
Told you it's the same thing. Pookie used to say that all the time. Go ahead. What else?
You have the stuff it takes to pull
You
it
got
off.
the stuff it takes. If you don't, I got you. I got you.
These guys don't know what they're missing. Let's try a few more places.
The popo around the corner. I'm telling you. Okay, it just sounds familiar. I'm sure that's not what Bob was doing, but.
And then just like that, just like he had said before, I'm sorry, concern. And then just like he had said the day before on his porch, Randy reiterated his statement, either way, Bob, I'm with you.
Either way, dog, I got you.
I got your back.
I got you. Don't worry about it.
His words gave me tremendous comfort. I applied at nearly every business in the valley and struck out every time. There were simply no jobs available and no hope of one opening up soon. The evening approached as the sun sank low in the hills. It was one of those sunsets displaying the kinds of vibrant colors that would have made a painter's canvas look over-ambitious. But I was still heartened. The sunset was real. I was in Yosemite. My friend was with me, and I still had a shot at my dream. Randy and I headed back to the campsite and snuck into the same tent we had commandeered the night before. I didn't sleep well or long as I sorted through my very short list of options. There was no work. I had no money. I was a high school dropout. Randy snored, and I had to go to the bathroom. That about covered my list of problems from least to greatest. The next morning came with a crispness that only fueled my anxiety. Randy stood next to me in his sleeping bag, gave me a couple phlegm-filled coughs, and said in a much too cheery voice,
Phlegm filled?
Wait a minute.
I told you it was the same dude from my neighborhood, man. It's the same thing.
let's go climb some rocks. He headed to the foot of the...
It's the same thing.
Climb some rocks.
Let's go ahead. Slang, climb.
He headed to the foot of one of the monolith cliffs and...
Wait, one of the
I don't
what?
know what that word is. Monolith?
You can't just swing back. Yeah, listen, you're not reading to yourself right now. You're just going to slip by it like, Monolith. Oh, this feels like 4 books.
Monolith? I've never heard that word.
Monolith.
We'll call
Monolith?
Bob.
Okay, we're doing monolith. Okay. We went to the
So
foot of
good,
one of the
man.
monolith cliffs and bouldered for a couple of hours, talking trash to each other about who was the better climber.
What is happening
How do you
here?
trash talk mountain climbing?
You see how I place my foot on that rock?
You can't put your foot on this right here, boy.
I do 30 push-ups on the rocks. What are you trash talking? I'm sorry.
That is awesome.
Read!
By midday, we headed back to the valley to see if any businesses had miraculously decided to expand their operations overnight. It felt like the shop owners had quietly met somewhere when they learned that I was arriving in the valley and were conspiring against me to dash my dreams. The same rocks I had come to climb were now beginning to look like barricades.
Dash my dreams against the rocks. That's I like how you do your words, Bob.
I applied at the remaining small storefronts I hadn't tried the day before. Do I even need to waste my breath to tell you what happened? Randy and I sat on the front bumper of my VW Bug and leaned against its flimsy and slightly rusted hood that buckled slightly under our weight. The sun was getting low in the valley again, and the granite cliffs I'd hoped to count as neighbors were casting long, dark shadows on the ground, each of the deepening shadows pointing toward the road exiting the valley. I only had a few bucks left after buying gas, and Randy offered to spring for dinner. As we walked back to the car after eating, I turned to Randy and said, "You know, Randy, you've been you've been great coming with me and everything, but it looks like I'm striking out. I think what I'll do is head back and finish up high school.
After 2 days?
2 days in. That's hilarious.
Come on, Bob.
Let me translate to the hood. Hey, dog, my mom need me to come back home, bro. It's cold out here. The police out here. I don't want to get locked up.
2 days, Bob. I thought at least make it to the weekend.
48 hours. I'm out. This is crazy.
Man.
After a short pause, Randy said again what had become a comfort to me throughout the trip. Man, whatever you decide, you know that either way I'm with you, Bob. Randy had been with me, and I could tell that he was with me in spirit as much as with his presence. He was committed to me, and he believed in me. I wasn't a project. I was his friend. I wondered if maybe all Christians operated this way. I didn't think so, because most of them I had met up until that time were kind of wimpy and seemed to have more opinions about what or who they were against than
I know that
who they were
person.
for.
Hold on. Stop right there. Stop right there.
Stop right there.
I've been meaning to talk to you about this, Mike.
We gonna do this now, dog?
You were doing
In front of my family?
Love Talk. Is that the name of your book? That is real.
Love leaves.
Read.
Okay. Without much more discussion, Randy and I exchanged a silent look and a nod, which meant we were done. Without a word spoken, I hopped in the
That was
driver's
a head
seat
nod.
of the car.
But it was down though, because that's how they do.
It's not.
It wasn't up like we would do. It was it was down.
Let's take it back to the crib.
Let's go.
Randy hopped in the passenger seat, and we followed the path cast from the long shadows the day before. I was going back.
Wait. Followed the path cast from the long shadows the day before. That I think that's deeper than we actually think, but I don't have a visual for it. How do you follow the path that was shadowed by? Say it again.
It was we followed the path cast from the long shadows the day before.
I don't have a visual for that. What is that?
Maybe
You follow
like-
the path.
Maybe the trees were like casting a shadow on the road back home, and they are like, we'll follow the shadows.
That's deep.
Okay. I was going back. We didn't talk much as we left Yosemite Valley.
Baby, come back.
Baby, come back to me.
or for much of the way home, for that matter. A dream of mine.
Listen, his parents didn't even know he was going.
I'm thinking about Randy's girlfriend. Randy don't have a girlfriend anymore.
Listen, Randy knew. Right before Randy walked out, he was like, hey, baby, I'll be back in 2 days.
He wrote a note. I left it on the refrigerator.
Got another one out here. Another one
Hey,
of these.
Bob. Bob's gonna be back in 2 days.
A dream of mine had just checked into hospice, and Randy was sensitive enough to know I needed some margin to think. We drove for about 5 or 6 quiet hours.
Wait, back up. What happened?
Hospice?
His dream.
Oh,
I thought something happened to his grandma.
I was like, what? What happened? I only heard hospice. What did he do to Randy? Like the girlfriend was at the press. Like
She in hospice? Who went to hospice? You can't just drop hospice.
you
in your
can't
book
randomly
like
say hospice. You got to make sure whatever you say before that, we clearly
It's
hear.
clear.
Otherwise, the whole story just changed.
So there's hospitals for dreams. You can take your dreams.
That's awesome.
My dream's sick. My dream is dying, mama.
It's an ICU.
Call a hospice nurse. You will not be a comedian.
Every once in a while, Randy would check on me in his confident and upbeat voice. Hey, how are you doing, Bob? We pulled down some familiar streets and into Randy's driveway. There was another car in the drive next to Randy's that looked like his girlfriend's. She visited often. We walked up to the front door and he opened it. I walked in behind Randy uninvited, but somehow I felt welcome. On the floor, I noticed a stack of plates and some wrapping paper, a coffee maker, some glasses. On the couch, there was a microwave, half in a box. I didn't understand at first. Had Randy just had a birthday? Was it his girlfriend's? A microwave seemed like a weird way to celebrate someone's arrival into the world. I knew Randy wasn't moving because there wouldn't be wrapping paper. Then from around the corner, the other half of this couple bounded out and threw her arms around Randy. Welcome home, honey. Then the nickel dropped. I felt both sick and choked up in an instant. I realized that these were wedding presents on the floor. Randy and his girlfriend had just gotten married. When I had knocked on Randy's door on that Sunday morning, Randy didn't see just a high school kid who had disrupted the beginning of his marriage. He saw a kid who was about to jump the tracks.
That is Bob Goff right there.
Oh my goodness.
That's some Bob Goff stuff right there.
And Randy was groggy because they had the honeymoon
Yeah.
the night before. So Randy wasn't
Randy was like, hey, I was just going back in there.
Man, Randy loves you, Bob.
Randy loves some Bob.
That's crazy love right there. That's awesome.
Wow. Love does.
Instead of spending the early days of his marriage with his bride, he spent it with me,
Oh,
sneaking
my.
into the back of a tent. Why? It was because Randy loved me. He saw the need and he did something about it. He didn't just say he was for me or with me. He was actually present with me. What I learned from Randy changed my view permanently about what it meant to have a friendship with Jesus. I learned that faith isn't about knowing all of the right stuff or obeying a list of rules. It's something more costly.
Pause real quick.
Yep.
I got to go back to the fact that because remember when he was at the door and he said, hold on a second, I got to grab. Like, that wasn't a long amount of time.
Right.
What in the world did he say to his wife? Where she's like, okay, cool. You moving to Yosemite.
Climb some rocks
You gonna climb some rocks.
with his young boy.
What in the world? And can he say that now?
No.
Like, can he go in there right now? Hey, Bob is here, and he sit yourself down somewhere. That's what you gonna do. Oh my goodness!
I'm
that is
calling the
hysterical.
pastor.
That is amazing. Okay, do the wrap up. I mean, go ahead.
Read.
Perhaps let's see. It's about something more costly because it involves something.
Wait. Start from whatever the neck. I mean, back up some,
Okay.
just so we can get a clean.
What I learned from Randy changed my view permanently about what it meant to have a friendship with Jesus. I learned that faith isn't about knowing all the right stuff or obeying a list of rules. It's something more costly because it involves being present and making a sacrifice. Perhaps that's why Jesus is sometimes called Emmanuel, God with us. I think that's what God had in mind, for Jesus to be present, to just be with us. It's also what he has in mind for us when it comes to other people. The world can make you think that love can be picked up at a garage sale or enveloped in a Hallmark card. But the kind of love that God created and demonstrated is a costly one because it involves sacrifice and presence. It's a love that operates more like a sign language than being spoken outright. What I learned from Randy about the brand of love Jesus offers is that it's more than presence. It's more about presence than undertaking a project. It's a brand of love that doesn't just think about good things or agree with them or talk about them. What I learned from Randy reinforced a simple truth that continues to weave itself into the tapestry of every great story. Love does.
Whoa, that was dope.
That's
That's
incredible.
good stuff, man. And that's just like the first chapter.
Yeah.
Of Love Does. Man,
I do
this-
have a question.
What's that?
Did Bob go back to school the next day?
Did he get in trouble?
Go right back. Like, I'll take the rest of the week off. I go back on Monday.
His parents literally probably didn't even know he was back.
Oh, man, I would have got whooped, beat down.
Going to Yosemite? I didn't even
Going
know.
for 2 days.
Going to hang out with Yogi Bear? I didn't even know that was a real place.
I was thinking like the dude with the guns.
Yosemite.
Yosemite.
Yeah, that's a different. It's a different
That's not the
place.
same. That's not
Yeah, it's completely
That's the
different. Especially where you from. Yosemite would have held the gun sideways. You're like, yo.
What up, fool?
Wow. So, what did we learn from this chapter? What's y'all takeaways?
Wow.
You learned it's not that hard to read a whole chapter.
I should do this more often.
This is fun.
I could never pack that quick. I don't know how he just like
Bob would have left you.
They were like, come
Dory
on,
would've walked
Dory.
out.
You said you was going. What kind of tactic is this?
Joey would have to call Uber. Catch Bob.
That's hilarious.
he's like, I'll be right back, and he just came back.
He
And
just
had
showed
that
back up.
conversation
She's like, how long
and
we gonna be
packed.
gone?
Would you?
I need hiking boots.
Randy was already packed. I'm telling you. Them kids do that all the time. Randy got a bag on the He's like, we're going to Yosemite. Okay.
A Yosemite bag. Well, honey, where'd I put that Yosemite bag at? It's in the kitchen.
Did you say Yosemite? Or did you say the Grand Canyon? Because I got a different bag. The Grand Canyon. Oh, snap. No, for real. What'd y'all take from this? And then, there's no swimsuit in this. That is awesome.
Oh, man.
Yo, yeah, for real. But what y'all take? What can y'all walk with? What do you feel like?
My takeaway
from one
is
chapter only. Wow.
Randy couldn't do that now if he was working for Young Life. He would. Randy would be in prison.
Listen, we're going he is up at high
messing
school.
with a kid. You go to jail, Randy. Explain this to the judge.
Okay. So on the real, what was your real takeaway from this chapter?
I just say love is an action. I mean, that's like a kind of cliche-ish, but I think that it's real proof that it's not just a noun. It's like doing something, getting involved, and not just saying I'm with you, but he really was with him, so I thought that was powerful.
I took away that a lot of times in the story, people want to be Bob, but I need to probably be more like Randy and to be able to see a person and help them in that time of need to say, wow, let me be here and get you what you need. Because we're always looking for ourselves. Like
Right.
I don't want to be Bob in that story. I want to be a Randy.
That's dope. So my takeaway would be, I think even in now, I try to look for ways to actually do something for people. Even since reading this book, but even before that, I literally, I would see people going through something, and then instead of doing the knee jerk or grabbing the low hanging fruit and doing the obvious, like giving money or whatever, I just try to take it to the next step and say, what could I actually do for this person? What action? How can I use some actual muscle to get involved with this person's life, even if it's only for a couple minutes, as opposed to just handing them some money. So I think as a result of it, I really, truly do believe that, like love actually does. It takes action as opposed to just. So, this was mad fun. We should do some more of these. This was like crazy fun.
Good, man.
This is good. So this was off the cuff. We got to figure out a name for this thing. Off the page.
Off the page.
Yo. Off the page. I like that. That's kind of dope. Anyway, this is what it was. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave some reviews and some comments and let us know what you thought. Please, please, please do not forget you can reach out to my friends who are on social media as well at
Dory Comedy.
You gotta say it louder.
Oh, Dory Comedy. Sorry.
Okay. Say it again. Read.
Dory Comedy.
Dory Comedy, yeah, and then and so you can catch up with her. And then my man Mike, your information is
Bowtie Comedy on Instagram and Twitter, and comedian Mike Goodwin on Facebook.
boom. So, and I recommend you get the book. You guys have been awesome. We're about to bounce. I am comedian Michael Jr. and you can find me by looking for me. I'm out.